You know how sometimes a dream is so beautiful you want to have it again? Last night, in that limbo state between knowing and not knowing, I was visited by two characters, Andrea Rossi and Galileo.
Going to a presentation is always more fun with a friend. Where is Galileo? Galileo!
Hey, Andrea, you woke me from a great dream I was having. I was mud wrestling with Tycho Brahe and kicking his butt.
I'd like to see that.
Well, it was epic, I'll tell you.
I bet.
So what's going on?
I wanted you to come along with me to a presentation of the Ecat SK.
Is this another of your crazy schemes to make heat super economically?
That's what I am known for.
Wow, well, that's way better than my reputation. I just invented modern physics, was persecuted by the Inquisition, and went blind. You know, the Pope told me that doing physics would make you go blind, but I didn't believe him. So consider yourself warned.
Okay, thanks for the pro tip, but I didn't ask you here for advice. I wanted to show you a demonstration of the newest Ecat SK. This can provide heat for business and is available now.
Oh, good. I've been on your waiting list for a long time.
Maybe this can help fight the global warming.
What the heck is global warming?
Forget it.
You know, you can only watch that Ecat song video for so long, you know? So show me something new.
And now, let's watch the Ecat SK.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the presentation of the Ecat SK. Here is the Ecat SK. The most important thing we will tell you today is this. The Ecat SK is available now for industrial applications. If your business requires safe, reliable, competitively priced heat, we encourage you to contact us. We will tell you how to contact us later in this presentation. Andrea Rossi will now show us the Ecat SK.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ecat. First of all, I apologize for my voice that in this period has some issues. But I will do my best. This is a module of 22 kilowatt of power, and its dimensions are 40 centimeters of length, 45 centimeters of depth, and 93 centimeters of height. And what you see is the external box inside which there is all the stuff that you will see in the proceeding of this presentation, and you will see later a video of an Ecat that is working in a factory. What you can see here is this blue box is the case that contains everything, and this is the remote control item that is on board of the Ecat, because when we install the plants to sell the heat to our clients, we control the plants from remote, from our headquarters. And so this instrument is connected with the hub, that is this one, and the hub is connected through an Ethernet cable with the free Ethernet door of a router, and through this system we can command and regulate the operation of our plants. A plant is made of many of these modules. For example, putting 10 of them one beside the other, we will have in 4 meters we will have 200 kilowatts of rating with the same depth and height of a box. In this dome that we see here, we have the inlet and outlet of the fluid that goes to be heated, and these columns that you see here are the neutron bubbles. They serve to detect that there are no neutrons emitted by the Ecat. And this instrument that you see here is the counter of microsieverts per hour to control and detect that there is no emission of ionizing radiations, so that the running of the Ecat is perfectly safe. And I think that for what concerns the description of the module, I have finished now. This is the Ethernet cable that will be connected with the router, and then we have the cable to plug the Ecat to the grid, and that will be all. And at this point, with a much better voice, my friend Thomas Florek will explain to you the video that we are going to see. Again, this is the video that has been taken putting a camera inside the Ecat, so that you will see how the Ecat works, and at the end I will show the calculations of the power. Of course, this is not a scientific presentation, this is a commercial presentation. All the calculations that you will hear are calculations that have been made by the house, by our service, and we guarantee to our clients that the ratings and the efficiency of the Ecat is exactly what I am saying now, and I take any liability for this. And thank you so far, and now I pass luckily the word to my friend Thomas Florek.
Let's take a look at the inside. Here is a video of the Ecat SK operating in a factory. Let's begin with a description of what you see on the screen. The screen is set up into a set of 7 views of an operating Ecat SK. View number 1 is the box in the upper left corner. This is the oscilloscope's video, from which we can see that the voltage of electric energy that enters the Ecat SK covers 5 squares. We can read in the top left that the value of the side of every square is 50 millivolts. This means that 1 square is worth 50 millivolts. As you can see, the graphic of the oscilloscope covers 5 squares. Therefore, 50 times 5 makes a voltage of 250 millivolts. Therefore, the voltage of current that goes to the Ecat is 250 millivolts. Here you can see the ohm meter, which indicates the value in ohms of the resistor put along the cable that connects the control panel with the Ecat. There are 78.1 ohms. View number 2 is the upper middle area of the screen. This is the control panel. You can see in the front the radiator that recovers the energy used to cool the circuit, making warm air for heating the room. The display where you read 20 is an amperometer and voltmeter. The number you read currently by default indicates the amperes of the current that goes to the control panel, which is 20. You can see in the view of the controller that the operator is displaying the voltage that is going into the Ecat. As you can see, we can read 19 volts. Before, we have read 20 amps. From the well-known Ohm's equation, we know that watts equals volts times amps. Therefore, we have 19 volts times 20 amps. That makes 380 watts. Therefore, we are consuming 380 watt-hours per hour. This energy goes almost entirely to the cooling system, and the heat dissipated by the control system is recovered and irradiated to heat the room through the radiator that you see under the logo with the cat. The American flag indicates that the Ecat is made in the USA. This control panel is extremely reliable and robust and realized by means of an industrialized system. It is designed to be controlled from a remote location. Leonardo Corporation supplies assemblies of these modules to be installed in industrial settings, and they are controlled from the headquarters of Leonardo Corporation. The clients pay only for the thermal energy that is supplied from the Ecats. View number 3 is in the upper right corner of the screen. Here are shown the bubble columns to detect the emission of neutrons. No emission of neutrons has been detected beyond the background. Should neutrons be emitted, then you would see big bubbles. As you can see, no bubbles appear. View number 4 is the lower left corner. Here is the video of the spectrometer. Along the X Cartesian axis, you can read the wavelength in nanometers. Along the y-axis, you can read the counts. The height of the peaks, y, indicates the density of the plasma. The value of the x indicates the wavelength. The room was perfectly dark, and the sole light emitted was the one from the Ecat SK. The video screens of the spectrometer and the oscilloscope were oriented in a way not to project photons toward the spectrometer, while all the windows were shielded by black curtains. The spectrometer has been calibrated by an engineer of our team specialized in this matter. View number 5 is in the lower middle area. Here is the Ecat SK lurking out of the blue body. The light is very intense, and it is not possible to look at it without eye protection with special glasses DIN grade 14. If the screen of your computer is 16 inches, then the plasma that you are seeing now is in its real dimensions. The reactor is a cylinder with 4 inches of height and 4 inches of diameter, and it is made with a material invented by Dr. Rossi and is custom made. When all the heat is not removed by a fluid, the reactor is cooled with argon that is recycled by the control panel. My friend Andrea Rossi calls this a ballerina. Andrea Rossi calls this a ballerina, and he says that he fell in love with this ballerina. But I think his focus on his job is making strange effects on him. View number 6 is all the way on the right in the middle. This is the measurement gauge of the microsievert per hour. It detects ionizing radiations. The value during the test ranged from 0.06 to 0.12 microsievert per hour. These values are well below the limits of danger. They are about 1,000 times below the limit of danger, which is in the order of millisievert per hour, while we are in the range of microsievert per hour. View number 7 is in the lower right corner of the screen. This is a scale to check that the block of the Ecat SK did not change weight. This is the Teslometer, to measure if there are magnetic fields generated from the Ecat, which would imply the direct production of electricity. The number 3.4 that you can see is in millitesla. This Ecat SK heats the room where it has been installed. In this photo, you see the monitor of the thermometers that measure the following. In channel room is the room temperature. In channel 1 is the temperature at the radiator that recovers the heat dissipated by the control panel. In channel 8 is the temperature of the air in the heat exchanger of the reactor. We are showing all this to you for your curiosity. When the Ecat SK is installed in a factory, you won't see the plasma, and you won't need an oscilloscope or a spectrometer. The Ecat SK is in the nice box that we have here. It gets installed in your factory and it provides heat. You simply pay for the heat you use. It is a well-made, economical heating system. It is an exciting new technology, and it does not put carbon into the atmosphere. But the most important fact is that it will save you money, and it is available now. Andrea Rossi will now go through some calculations about the operation of the Ecat.
Okay. First of all, please, Thomas, show me the enlargement, that section enlarged of the spectrometer that we have prepared. Okay. This particular will be of interest mainly for the scientists, if any, that are listening to us. In this the section of the spectrometer that here has been enlarged, we have a signature at 437.2 nanometers. And this signature is important because it is a possible indication of the existence of picometric aggregates whose high density I think is at the origin of the energy gain, and should be this thing that turns up the reactions of the effect. Who wants to go deeper in the theoreticals can Google for my paper Ecat SK and long-range particle interactions, published on ResearchGate on January 24, 19, several days ago. Or more easy, just email to me at info@leonardocom1996.com and I will send you the link. This said, let us go to the board that I have prepared for the calculations of the rating. Let's go there. Yes. Now, what here here are numbers just put in a scratch paper for who is interested to see how we have determined the power of the module of the Ecat. I will be fast because again this will not be of very much interest to our clients because they are interested to how much heat they are receiving, but can be interesting for a more scientific presentation in a certain limit, within a certain limits. Along the Vienna equation, to calculate the temperature of the plasma, we have Tk equals 2900 divided by lambda, where Tk, T with K is the temperature in Kelvin, lambda is the wavelength of the radiation that we have seen with the spectrometer, and 2900 is the Vienna constant. Substituting in the equation N, we have that the temperature will be 2900 divided by 0.3575, that is the wavelength that you have seen in the spectrometer, in the spectrometer's graphic, where in the spectrometer you have seen 357, but that is in nanometers, while the equation of Vienna is in microns. So since 1 micron is 1000 nanometers, we will have to write 0.357. And what turns out is that the temperature of the plasma in that very limited part of the plasma you have seen, that is the hottest one, that is all the one that we will use to calculate the power, is 8111 Kelvin. Just for your curiosity, it is equal to 8384 Celsius degrees. And then we use this temperature that we have calculated to go to see through the Boltzmann equation what is the power of the Ecat. Please give me more space under. Yes. Now we can see the equation number 2, watts equals sigma time epsilon time t to the 4th power time s. Don't worry, it's very simple. Sigma is 5.67 times 10 to the minus 12 power. It would be to the minus 8 if we were calculating square meters, but since we are calculating square centimeters, it becomes 10 to the minus 12, because 1 square centimeter is 10 to the minus 4 square meters. Epsilon is the emissivity that for the plasma that is a black body should be 1, but we calculate 0.9, assuming the black body is not perfect. T to the 4th power is, as we have seen, 8111 to the 4th, which totals 4.3 times 10 to the 15th power. S is the surface in square centimeters, and the square that we consider is 1 square centimeter, because the area that we have seen, that is the area around the cathode, is 1.1 centimeter long and has a diameter of 0.3 centimeters. Substituting in equation 2, we will have that watts equal 5.67 times 0.9 times 4.3 times 10 to the 15th power times 10 to the minus 12 power time 1, which, believe me, totals 21,942 watts, which is 21.9 kilowatt of power, which means that we make an energy equal to 21.9 kilowatt hour per hour. And now we go to see the energy consumed by the system. So later we will be able to calculate the coefficient of power. We will see now the first with, and we'll call it E1. It is the energy consumed by the control panel. This is the total energy that comes from the plug of the outlet of the grid. And as we have seen during the video, we have 380 watt-hour per hour of energy consumed. This is the very total that goes to the cooling system, to the Ecat, and whatever else. And this energy is the energy that is not consumed by the cat, that we will see later, is completely recovered with a heat exchanger, and then so also the heat dissipated by the control panel is recovered with the COP 0.9. Then we see E2 is the energy consumed by the ECAT, which means the energy that actually enters in the ECAT. As we have seen in the video, we have a voltage of 0.25 volts. See, as you have seen in the oscilloscope, it is 5 millivolts times 5, which is 250 millivolts. That is equal to 0.25 volts. We have seen that the resistance along the cable that supplies the energy to the cat is 78 ohms. And probably you remember, you will be able to see again, because this video will remain on YouTube and on Vimeo. You can see the photo of the ohmmeter that indicates 78.1, and we approximate to 78. The amps along the equation of Ohm is amps is volts divided time divided by resistance, so amps equals substituting 0.25 divided by 78, which is 0.0032. When we make the calculation of watts along the Ohm equation, the watts are 0.25 times 0.0032, which means 0.0008 watts hour per hour that are consumed by the cat. Now we will consider the COP in considering both the scenarios. Can you give me, please, Thomas, also below? No. Go down, please, go down. Okay, stop. Okay, as you can see in the last line of the paper above, the COP considering both the energy that is consumed by the cooling system plus the energy that is consumed by the ECAT, we have 21.942 divided by the 21,942 watts produced divided by 300 watt hour per hour consumed, we have a COP of 57. Again, 21,942 watt hour per hour produced divided 380 watt hour per hour consumed. We make this division, and the result is that we have a coefficient of performance of 57. But allow me to make you observe that all the 380 watts are recovered at the COP 0.9 from the radiator of the control panel. And if we consider only the energy consumed by the ECAT, we have 21,942 watt hour per hour produced divided for 0.0008 watt hour per hour consumed. This means self-sustaining mode. Now, please give me the board below, calorimetric comparison. Please go. Stop. Down a little bit.
I can't go down a bit.
Okay. Now we can see. I gave you an approximate calculation of the calorimetry that more or less matches with the precise calculations made with the Boltzmann equation, the Vienne and the Boltzmann equation. We are heating a room of a factory that has a surface of about 3,000 square feet, which is about 300 square meter, and is high about 4 meters, which is about something less than 14 feet. The outside is about, I reported the calculation that I made in the moment I was there, so are not exactly the same data you have seen in the video, but more or less we are close, because the temperature outside is different. The temperature outside was 0 Celsius, which is about 32 Fahrenheit. The room temperature was about 16 Celsius, which is about 61 Fahrenheit. And to obtain with this result, with normal heaters, you need about between 20 and 22 kilowatt of rating. So you need a boiler of 20-22 kilowatt of power to heat up at these conditions with these results. My mathematic detail is the fan is 5,500 effective cubic meters per hour, which sum up to 6,700 kilograms. We have a delta T of 16 Celsius. The specific heat of air is 0.17 more or less. Go up, please. No. Down. Okay? The power is 6,700 times 0.17 times 16 and makes about 20.5 kilowatt of power, or if you prefer 20.5 kilowatt hour per hour of energy. We also made a test with an airflow of 320 effective cubic meter per hour. Can you go up, please? Up a little bit again. Stop. Thank you. And obtaining a delta T of 312 Celsius, you may use the same equation, and you again will arrive to a power of about 21 kilowatt hour per hour. A power of 21 kilowatt that give 21 kilowatt hour per hour. And now two words about the heat that is dissipated by the cooling system. It is recovered because, as you have seen, we get from a fan of 250 effective cubic meter per hour, we get, using the same equation, about 300 watts. We are consuming 380, so the COP is, it is not 0.9 as written there. That is a mistake, but it is 0.7, 0.8. And that's it. This about the calculation. Again, these are calculations made by me and not by a third party, but these are the numbers that we guarantee to our customers. And at this point, with great pleasure, first because I can raise my voice, and second because he is great, my friend Frank Ackland of Ecat World will direct the discussion that will follow up from now on. And so you.
Okay. We're going to set up for Frank here. We will mention once again that the most important thing that we will tell you today is this: that the Ecat SK is available now for industrial applications. If your business requires safe, reliable, competitively priced heat, we encourage you to contact us.
Thomas?
Yep, you could probably get a little closer to the microphone.
Well, I'll just.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, thank you. I have been receiving, previous to this broadcast and actually during, some questions for Andrea Rossi. First questions are going to be about the video that we've seen. Now, you mentioned that you need special lenses to view the plasma with a naked eye, right?
Yes.
Yep. So, did you have to put some kind of filter over the camera in order to film it, or is that an accurate? I mean, is that filtered?
Well, we had to protect the camera. Now I am not an expert of that because there was a specialist. We had to protect the camera, but the image that you have seen is pretty much representative of the reality.
Okay. A question here about the room heat exchanger. It says the video does not give much detail on its size.
Well, it is a heat exchanger for 20 kilowatts, for 20 kilowatts of air. So the size is about, I don't remember exactly the dimensions, but you consider about 1 meter, 1 cubic meter of machine.
Okay. All right. And follow-up to that question is, does it run at 300 C? Air into the room is stated at about 35 C. That would require hundreds of CFM of airflow to dissipate 25 kilowatts. Think big furnace fan. This is from Thomas on Ecat World.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. It says, does it run at 300 degrees Celsius?
No. That was an experiment. That was the moment that has been taken the photography. I was making an experiment. Normally, it works with temperatures, with the temperatures to get 16 degrees out with the average that we have seen in the video.
Okay. All right. Now I have some questions about business. This is from Gianluca. He says, is it possible that the Ecat can be installed in a big building, presumably to heat it?
Well, the question must be distinguished in two phases, because technically, surely it is possible, because this is what he does, what he does, which is heat. But we cannot install Ecats in households or in condominiums, etc., because we do not have the certification necessary to do it. And waiting for this certification, which is much more complex, we have to install only in factories where we have the safety certifications that are necessary to get the authorization to install these devices. The reason why it is easier to have the certifications in industrial applications is that in industries there are operators that are certified that can guarantee a proper operation, while it is not possible in households, and so it will take still more time. I think it will take many plants working before we get the certifications for the households.
Okay. So the question then is another question about agriculture. In 2017, the 14.6 billion bushels of corn are require an estimated 2.7 billion to be spent on liquid natural propane and natural gas. Would you open your technology for use on farms?
Yes, this definitely is a field where we can operate, because agricultural industries are industries as any other kind of industry. So if we are involved in this situation, we surely can say our word.
So some other agricultural applications suggested are pasteurization, greenhouses, heating barns, and confinements for hogs, chickens, etc.
Yes, and I can add drying alimentary substances. In agriculture, heat is used in innumerable situations, and that is surely a very interesting field, also because competitivity in agriculture, economic competitivity in agriculture is extremely important, because it is not high technology where you can have big margins, and so the competitiveness is more on quality than in price. In agriculture, the competitivity is merely in price. People buys where the products cost less.
So are you ready then to enter the agricultural market?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now this is just a general question here. Where do you wish Leonardo Corporation to be in 5 to 10 years' time from now?
Do you have a crystal ball? I can't answer this question because, one thing is dream.
Right.
But I had many dreams in my life that did not realize, so I don't think even that it can bring good luck to talk about that. So I am joking, but what we want obviously is to diffuse this technology as much as possible, partnering with powerful and well-introduced partners.
Okay. I just have a new question from Ruby Carrot. You've met Ruby before?
Yes, hello, Ruby.
She says, can you explain the graph in the lower left and explain the graph in the upper left? And what is the dial measuring?
Excuse me. Excuse me. What?
I think
I
the
did
dial.
not understand
I think
the
the
question.
dial she refers to the weight
Is on the right.
on the lower
Lower
right,
right.
corner, and that's a scale that is just set up to make sure that the Ecat did not change weight during the.
Yes. So
during
the image in the right bottom is a scale. Is a very normal scale, very normal and basic scale. The numbers are in pounds. As you can see, it measures about 20 pounds. 20 pounds for not Americans and British are equal to about 9 kilograms. And this is the weight of the system. And we have put a scale at under the system to control that the weight remained all the same. So the numbers are pounds. What was the other question? I did not understand.
The graph in the lower left.
Lower left is the spectrometer, is the
Yep.
graphic of the spectrometer. In the x-axis, we read the wavelength in nanometers, and this is why in the equation we have made a 0 point, etc., because the Vienna equation is in microns, and 1 micron is 1000 nanometer. And in the y-axis, you have the density at that wavelength. And this is the area around the cathode. And this is where we have considered the calculation of the energy, because and this is very conservative, because the plasma has a surface of about 330 square centimeters. We just forgot we just consider only one and did not measure the energy around.
Okay. And then the top left, the graph in the top left.
I already have said. Top left. No, what is the top left? Is the oscilloscope. Is the oscilloscope. That is the trail, the graph of the oscilloscope that measures the electricity that enters the Ecat, not that enters the control panel. This is the oscilloscope, as the oscilloscope's probes have been put between the control panel and the Ecat.
Okay. Next question from Bruce. Will the presence of the SK on a customer's premises affect their insurance? What documents will be made available to customers so their insurance companies can estimate risk?
I am not able to answer to this question. The problem did not raise so far. I will ask to my customer. The problem, I am not able to answer this question. But I suppose, but this is a supposition and so can be wrong, that since the apparatus has been certified, has got the certifications necessary, I don't think it will affect the insurance, but this is just a supposition.
Next question. There's a coal-fired power plant that will close in Montana in the next few years, and another that has recently been mothballed. Is the Ecat SK a reasonable solution that could keep these facilities providing electricity for the Pacific Northwest? If so, can the utility controllers get in line for the retrofit process?
Well, this is a very interesting question, and of course is a problem that we already have put to our service. I have spoken with top-level responsibles of utilities that made of power plants, and the problem must be divided in two. One is technological, one is administrative. The technological problem is not difficult to be resolved because essentially coal makes heat, Ecat makes heat, and so they can be integrated. Of course it is not easy, it takes studies, projects, etc., etc., etc. It takes good engineers, etc., etc., but it can be resolved. It is just normal good engineering. Completely different is the issue under an administrative point of view, because if a power plant puts an Ecat in its system, all the permits that he has are put in jeopardize and very likely are put on hold with enormous damages under an economical point of view, as you can imagine. So this is here are the lions, because you know, to get permissions for a power plant takes between 10 and 20 years. And you can imagine the consequences of this consideration. So it is much easier to study ex novo from the beginning a plant working with the steam made by a system of assemblies of Ecats than to retrofit an existing plant, unless it is a dead plant, because obviously if the plant dies because I am sorry, if a plant dies because its permissions expire or for some other reason, at that point it has nothing to lose to try the way of the Ecat. But this scenario did not yet present itself to us.
All right, next question. What became of the installation in which the company planned to use the SK to power a gas turbine? Are they still customers? Have they become operational? I think this is something you've been speaking about in the past.
These are in our research and development room. So it is not, it is far from being a product. We are studying on it. It is my pet project. I believe in it, and I think that we will arrive to very interesting results. But we are very far from having the possibility. I must say that I am in contact with a very, very, very good engineer, a Japanese engineer that is an expert of turbines. And he has made fantastic turbines that are very fit for our Ecats. And I think that along that trail we will have soon good results. But so far we are distant from having a product ready to be given to clients.
Okay, next question from Gerard. What is the production capacity of the Ecat SK in megawatts per year?
Well, please do you, the math is very simple. It makes 20 kilowatt hours, it makes 21.9, make 20 to make the calculation easier. You multiply 20 kilowatt hour per hour time 24 hours time 350 days, and you have the number.
Okay, the next question was...
I said 350 days just to consider 50 days lost for some reason.
How much time does it take to double your capacity? Is sufficient money available to upscale production to any size?
Well, this question must be, any technology does not exist. I can answer to the first part of the question. Any technology is like infinite in physics, but to reach the double of rating, it takes 5 minutes. You take 2 models and put them one beside the other. But to make one single model of 40 kilowatts, if necessary, can take maybe 1 year. But I don't see the necessity of this, because once you have, it's like to make bigger bricks. Why? With brick by brick, Rome has been made.
Next question from Gerard goes on to the domestic Ecat use. We've mentioned it a little bit. Is it right to assume that this can not be allowed until sufficient market penetration has been made, I guess, on the industrial scale?
Sorry, I did not understand the question.
Okay,
can you repeat it?
Yeah.
Or rephrase it?
Yeah, regarding the domestic Ecat,
Yes.
will it only be available when you have had sufficient market penetration?
Now I have understood perfectly. Yes, the question is correct. Yes.
Is it a consideration that, okay, so you've talked about the remote monitoring of the industrial Ecats. Eventually, if there are domestic Ecats, will they also be monitored remotely?
I don't know. I am not ready to answer this question.
Okay.
Normally, I try to resolve problems when I have problems, because we have to stay focused on the problems we actually have.
I just want to ask, a domestic Ecat means like a home unit? Is that what that means?
I think that's what they're referring to.
Okay. Like
Something to heat your home.
Okay.
Yep. When will the first Ecat generate Ecat SK generate electricity?
Well, this is an interesting question. It must be divided in many phases. You know, the cat, as you have seen in the video, produces some amount of current directly from the plasma, because you have seen that we have measured a 3 point something millitesla with the teslameter, just putting the probe of the teslameter adjacent to the reactor. But now we'll just thermalize it, turn it into heat. But and I am not able to answer if we will be able to suck out enough electricity to make worth to get it and not just thermalize it. To make electricity with a cat is possible also now, because energy is a commodity that can be turned in any other kind of energy. Heat can be turned into electricity by means of the Carnot cycle that is the most used, making steam with the heat and then making a turbine produce electricity with the force of the steam, or as we are making in Japan, making, or I hope we will be making in Japan, with turning a turbine with the heat, with the air heated by the Ecat with very high efficiency. And when a turbine rotates with that momentum, you can get electricity, you can get whatever you want. So we must distinguish between electricity made indirectly by the Ecat, and this is possible now, but from electricity produced directly from the Ecat, and this is a big question mark, because so far it is not worth the while.
I've got some more email questions that have come in as we've been talking. From Julian asks, how much will it cost per unit of energy used?
No, I want not answer to this question, because the costs of, we have represented the COP. So that's it. The cost to us of the electricity is obviously an issue that is confidential, and the price that we will sell the electricity at to our clients will be adjusted depending on the situations, on the amounts, and on many other parameters.
And I don't think he's specifically referring to electricity. He's just any use of the Ecat heat. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But also because we do not sell electricity, we sell heat.
Right. Okay. Now he asks here, again, going back to the video, Gary asks, what does the 19 volts and 20 amps power? Is this fans and pumps? So in the video, you have the 19 volts and the 20
Yes.
amps.
Yes, what is the question?
What is it powering?
Yes, that is, the power is, as they have seen in the video, the power in watts is the product of volts time amps.
Right, but
So
what is it used for?
I don't understand the
He
question.
says, is it for fans and pumps?
This is for the cooling system. I cannot enter into the details.
Okay. Is the output intended to normally be steam or hot air from the Ecat SK?
It depends on what the client wants.
Okay. Is the green box holding the heat exchanger too?
I assume they see green what is blue.
Okay.
Well,
Is that holding the heat exchanger also? Is the heat exchanger, is it inside that?
no, because the heat exchanger depends on the kind of fluid that is used. No, the heat exchanger is not there.
Not in there?
No.
All right. Let me go back here. Maybe this is the same one. Does the power end of the controller also include the power for the fans and blowers? For the
Yes, the power includes everything. That power is measured at the outlet of the plug connected with the grid.
Gianluca asks, I would remind Rossi that in the EU, the heaters in big buildings are installed in a specific room that is opened only to technicians. So he says it's like an industry, and only staff can enter into a heater room.
Okay, I take advice of this, and I will take due information about that. We have to evaluate. You know, here is an important issue connected with this question. So thanks to Gianluca. The issue is this: when we make an installation, it is necessary that our clients gets the consulting of a certified engineer that must be certified by the locality where we have to install our technology. Depending on the laws, maybe he must be certified by the state we are in, by the region, I don't know. It depends on the local laws. And we have the necessity to interface with this engineer to respect all the local laws. So if the certified engineer will tell me that I am authorized with the certifications that we have to install my plants in a specific place, well, there are no problems.
Okay. Another question, is your SK being researched for a special category of usage such as jet engines, military ships, heavy moving equipment, and the like?
Can you repeat the first part of the question?
Is the SK,
Yes.
the high COP SK,
Yes.
is it being researched for special categories like these jet engines?
I think that for confidentiality, in respect to our clients, I prefer not to answer to this question.
Okay. But let me ask you this then.
We are under NDA
Yep.
with all our clients, and I want not to give answer that could jeopardize the NDAs.
Well, let me ask you a different way than Andrea.
Yes.
If somebody listening or watching this video learns about this who is in, let's say, shipbuilding, aerospace.
All I can say is that the SK can find application everywhere heat is produced and everywhere heat is an issue. Obviously, specific situation must be evaluated.
Okay. Here's another question. This is a business question. To increase production, producing, maintaining, and monitoring ECATs may be licensed to other parties, I guess outside Leonardo. Will that be considered?
Yes, it is an issue that can be considered.
Okay. So would you consider, I mean, if someone's interested to talk about this with you, can they contact you and discuss it?
Yes, absolutely. And I take the occasion to say that, sorry, if somebody needs to speak with me, can email to info@leonardocorp1996.com, as you can see now in the video. And I will answer. Normally, I answer to everybody, one way or the other. I always answer. Just give me the time, but I always answer.
What kind of delivery timeframes are expected for the first customers that order now or order in the near future?
It depends on the power they need.
How long do you expect a fuel charge to last?
1 year. I say this not because after 1 year it is not lasting, but because I don't know. The only thing that I know is that for sure, 100% sure, we can know that the charge is perfect for 1 year. Why I am sure? Because I did it.
Okay. As far as changing the fuel, do you do that, or will there be some kind of dealer network to address this issue?
We will have operators that will do it, and if the operators will be of our company or of licensed companies, this will depend on the licensing and on the locations.
Okay, here's a question from Orso Bubo.
Ah, yes, I know him.
Orso
Yes,
Bubo.
yes, he's a very intelligent person.
He
Yes.
says, is Andrea willing to create a fast track for the feeding of any energy devouring device apt to decontaminate radioactive isotopes in the environment, to capture atmospheric carbon if the greenhouse effect theory is confirmed?
Well, all we, my team, to which I belong, all we are able to do is make heat. Now, what you can do with this heat, it depends on you. What I can say, and this maybe this is what Sububu means, and what surely the Ecat does not generate carbon dioxide, because we burn nothing, and we do not emit any kind of pollutant, and as you have seen in the video, we do not emit any ionizing radiations. So in this sense, the contribution of the Ecat to the environment is direct. For all the other issues is indirect.
Okay. Next question. How is Leonardo planning sales and marketing and installation?
This is not the place where to, this is our strategy for what concerns marketing and sales. In this moment is confidential, and let not inform our competitors about how we want to attack the market.
Okay. Julian asks again, is there an upfront installation cost?
Well, the installation cost for what concerns our installment is on us, and yes, there is an upfront installation cost, of course, because we have to put the plant in a factory, and this has transportation costs, manpower cost to make the installation, and the connections on board to our installation. Then there is an installation cost from the party of the customer that obviously must be analyzed in the specific situations.
Okay. Going back to my list now. All right, and let's go back to Orso Bubo. His second question.
Okay.
Is Andrea available once he has secured the financial success of his business, his legal rights, and his academic recognition to reveal all the physical phenomena and possible theoretical and philosophical implications of which he has come to know in these years of research?
Well, this depends on the licensee, on the licensees, because I don't think they will be very happy if I will gladly spread around intellectual property they have invested in. So this issue is very difficult to be answered now and in this situation, because it does not imply me, it implies all the world that will rotate around this technology. There will be probably billions invested, and so that the issue is very difficult to be answered and will not depend on me.
Okay, next question. When will the customer that has utilized the Ecat SK since last November be revealed?
When they will allow it, but you must consider that so far whomever has been publicly revealed as somebody that has dealt with us for any reason has been harassed from many parts. So basically, until there is not common knowledge about the applications of our technology, it will be a little bit difficult to find somebody that will be eager to jump in the scene, to jump on the stage. Anyway, also this is not an issue that depends on me.
Okay, and then a related question. When will Rossi's current industrial partner be revealed?
Same issue.
Same issue, all right.
So I have a question. If someone
With
contacted...
with all our partners, clients, suppliers, we have NDAs.
So if a customer contacted you today and decided that they wanted to have, let's say, a small installation of 4 to 6 ECATs in a factory, would it be reasonable to assume that they could get this up and running within a quarter, within 3 months?
No, much before.
Okay, so if they contacted you today or this week and got their ducks in the row and set it up,
weeks.
Very good. All right.
No, we have an industrial organization ready to absorb the demand that we are foreseeing. The Ecat has been designed. The Ecat that you have seen, has been designed with all in very big amount of quantities already industrialized, and we have agreements, and we are, even if it maybe cannot appear, but we have covered very well our basis.
So that would mean that customers will be revealed to the public when they reveal themselves, when they start putting signs in front of their factories saying we use the Ecat.
You know what? Yes, what clients will do, I cannot know.
Very good.
All right. A question from Alain. After selling heat to industry, do you plan to sell the ECATs to the market?
This is a good question. The reason why, good question. Thank you, Alan. You know, the problem is this. The reason why now we make a centralized control system is for intellectual property protection. The communication between our headquarters and the plant is a communication that is made in a way that is not understandable from anybody. That it is not difficult to enter in the communication, but from experts. But once you enter the communication, you understand nothing. You just have information that are useless, useful for nothing. Because in this delicate beginning, when we have delicate issues with our partners, we must give to our intellectual property the maximum protection. Once this phase will be supered, we will begin to sell plants. So this is a situation in evolution, and we must do this in accordance with our clients, and mainly with our licensees.
When you say licensees, do you mean investors or people who use your products?
No, wait, both of them plus the licensees that get the license to manufacture and to sell.
So are you saying then that you are using outside industrial people to build the ECATs?
Also, yes.
Okay. Next question, can the Ecat SK be used to create steam?
Of course, the Ecat makes heat, and our primary has a very high temperature, so we can reach also the highest temperature that you can reach with steam.
What is that temperature?
About 550 Celsius degrees, and to have a maximum efficiency with the Carnot cycle. So with the heat you can do whatever you want.
Next question is, how long does the reactor last in months/years before needing to be replaced with a new one?
This is a question that is very difficult to answer for me, because I never experienced so far the death of an Ecat.
Okay.
That would have hurted broken my heart, but so luckily I did not survive any Ecat. But I can make a projection based on the materials it is done with and the consumption that I have noticed. A very important experience in this sense has been made with all the experiments and tests that we made so far. So I project that the minimum life of an Ecat will be around 20 years, but could be 50. I think the minimum could be 20. I think the lifespan, if the lifespan of a car is up to maybe 20 years, you have cars of the 80s that are still working well now in the roads. I think that the lifespan of the Ecats will not be less than that.
Brandon asks, will you ask one of your customers to publish their cost savings and publicly stand by the Ecat product?
No, can you repeat? I did not understand. Can you rephrase it a little bit?
Will you ask one of your customers to publicly tell?
I already answered to this question.
He also says, well done on all your hard work and good wishes for the future.
Oh, thank you very much to you, and thank you very much for your sustain, and thank you very much to everybody, and they are thousands, many thousands, from whom we continue to have sustained.
Bengt Carlson asks, in which countries can Leonardo make deliveries soon?
United States, Sweden, Japan.
Okay. We're getting a lot of... So much talk about how does it work, asks Giuseppe. How does it work?
Very well.
Ask Giuseppe which check is he sending to me. How does it work has been explained as much as possible. Sorry, Giuseppe, which is the correct pronunciation, Giuseppe. Sorry, Giuseppe, for my joking answer. I was just joking with you, not against you. And you understand that we have limitations due to confidentiality, but honestly, I think that in this video we have already released a lot of information, honestly.
How big is Rossi's team?
Enough.
Who are the key people?
Well, that has to be decided.
Can we confirm that Tom Brady is not on your team?
Who is Tom Brady?
Quarterback of the Patriots.
Well, I think this will make news. Yes, he is.
What will Rossi need? Sorry. What will Rossi need to qualify, vet potential customers? Or can anyone buy the energy without discrimination?
Sorry,
I think what he means is,
I did not understand.
what he means is, what or who do you need to be to qualify to be an Ecat customer? How do you determine who can?
Well, the determination about who can be our customer now in this moment are technical, are just technical and financial, and and I can thank you for the question because is important. To qualify, the client must first have a heat consumption that is proportional to the heat he says he wants to buy. Second, have a financial basis to pay for this heat, and because we risk our capital, because we put our plants in his factory, and we need that he is not in a financial danger, because we want not that our plant is involved in some bankruptcy and of clients, and therefore run the risk to be put on hold. Then the client must have an industrial organization well known. It must be an organization that has a history of the activity that they are asking to buy our heat for. And then they must have the personnel that is necessary to comply with our safety certifications. Then they must have, either as an employee or as a consultant, a certified engineer, certified to make the engineer in our field and to give consulting in our field in the location where the plant has to be installed. These are the main limits that we put. Then some other can be seen in the specific situation. Obviously, since we are not idiots, we do not make any kind of discrimination about race, religion, or these issues, because we are serious.
So if a government organization, or let's say a university, wanted to install ECATs to run their steam plant, would that be a viable customer?
I am not able to answer to this question, but surely if they are a university, they have plenty of certified engineers that teach the matter to their students, and they will tell me.
Question about the video. The video of the plasma light is interesting. Why is it pulsing and moving around if the camera is fixed?
That is an interesting question. That is a very interesting question. Because he's a ballerina. Ballerinas dance.
Do you want to hear the song?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
There we go. The song is on.
Yeah. During the song, I must ask 1 minute because I have to adjust a little bit my voice.
Okay.
I need to drink some water.
Very good.
But maybe you can prepare questions. I just need 1 minute.
Welcome. Once again, the most important thing we will tell you today is this. The Ecat SK is available now for industrial applications. If your business requires safe, reliable, competitively priced heat, we encourage you to contact us.
Okay. Next question is, this is Gianluca again. Maybe it's a different Gianluca. Why is it difficult to have a conglomeration for the home Ecat if there are no ionizing emissions?
Well, you are right. You are right. But I am not the guy that puts problems and that takes time. You are right, and so I hope that this problem will be resolved as soon as possible. We have one problem, though, that I must confess you. We have only 2-3 persons that continue. 2 persons, and I prefer not to make the name, but that continue to harass everywhere and everybody, decanting the high periculosity, even if it is not true. And so, people is afraid of liabilities, and there is nothing I can do about that. The only thing that we can do is to install industrial plants. I think that history has correctly said, a person in one of the former questions, surely the diffusion of industrial plants will ease the worry of liabilities for these very new things. People in certification agencies does not know what is LENR, etc., etc. Of course, the fact that all our Ecats have the devices that detect ionizing radiations, etc., and continue year after year to detect nothing, this will help. But your question is right. I totally agree with you.
Okay, short question. The number of SK installations estimate by the end of 2019.
I prefer not to give this number. As I said before, I can answer as much as possible.
Roy asks, pressure was the problem with the Ecat Warm, the first one. It could produce up to 105 degrees Celsius, but no real pressure. For useful steam generation, the pressure needs to be above 2 atmospheres. Is this possible?
Of course, we make a heat, and we have a primary circuit that runs at a certain heat. Our circuit needs the pressure that it needs, but this is our parameter. The secondary circuit, that is the one that exchanges heat with our primary, that will need to be put in pressure, but that will not be our task, that will not be our turf. We give the heat in a primary circuit. The client takes this heat, exchanges it to heat up water or whatever he wants, air or whatever he wants, to make something. And he will bring his pressure wherever he will want, regulating the flow.
Next question. What is the lowest input voltage that the Ecat can operate, the SK can operate at?
I cannot give this information.
Okay. Since
I can say this, that we can take from the plug of the outlet of the grid 110 or 220 or 380 three-phase or 440, 450 three-phase. We can take whatever a plug gives. Then we make what we have to make to give to the Ecat what it needs.
Okay. Dear Andrea, dear Leonardo Corporation, since the Ecat SK is controlled online, what happens if the connection breaks for a long time, let's say days?
This is an important question. Obviously, it will happen sooner or later that a plant made by Ecats will go out of service. This can happen for circumstances that do not depend on us. That could be an internet drop down from the server. It could be from the provider. It could be a blackout from the power company. It could be malfunction because the Ecat is a machine, and it can have some most probable electronic problem, and could give. So one of the prescription that I forgot to say before, that makes necessary that our clients have to run an Ecat or to make a contract with us, is that they must have a backup that automatically will enter in action as soon as, for any reason, the Ecat goes down. What happens? When the Ecat goes down, our control system immediately is informed. We immediately inform the client. But automatically, even if we do nothing, a backup will be put in action. So basically, if we go to clients that already have what they need to make the heat that they need, they will just conserve what they have, and it will be the backup. And when the Ecat will go out of service, automatically, in seconds, their backup will go in operation. And if a customer is making a new section of his industry and has not there already an existing heat production system, he must make in parallel with our plant a backup system. Otherwise, we cannot supply the plant. Or otherwise, the customer has to sign in the contract with us that we will not be liable for any period that our system will be out of service, even for regions that depend on us.
Next question from Layman. If a customer needs high power installations, i.e. many ECATs are necessary, will there be one blue box per ECAT or many ECATs in a bigger container?
It is absolutely indifferent, because for us it doesn't matter if we put one ECAT in one box or if we put many ECATs in one box. It doesn't make any difference. Probably it depends on the specific situations, on the opportunity, because maybe a client prefers one ECAT per box and disseminate boxes in different places where he has dead spaces. Or maybe the client prefers one only big box somewhere. It depends on the client, on what the client wants.
Now, a controller can control more than one blue box ECAT. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
So if somebody had an installation of, let's say, a dozen ECATs, they would all be controlled by one single controller?
One controller today is able to control 10 up to 10 ECATs, which means 210, 220 kilowatt hour per hour of production.
Okay. Question from Philippe in France. When will a commercialization of the ECAT be available in Europe? He's in France.
Well, we already are able to serve Sweden. If we have some important request, this can be done. The contact can be developed immediately.
And the next
It
question.
depends, Europe is big. If it is Germany, France, Spain, it will be fast.
Will Mr. Rossi take a communication agency to promote his products worldwide? Will you?
So sorry, can you repeat the question?
He says, will you take, I think he says, will you use a communication agency to promote your products worldwide? I think he's talking.
Yes.
Okay. In the plasma video, is the cathode at the top? Is the plasma floating above the anode, which cannot be seen?
I cannot answer this question.
Okay. Can a university get an ECAT installed in their lab and pay for the heat? This is from David.
We would have some intellectual property issue.
David asks, Andrea, it appears that you have a great product that is ready to sell. It seems like your business model should work if it is properly marketed. Have you or will you hire a marketing team that has experience and contacts in the industrial heat industry to help you connect with customers?
We already have a person in Sweden.
David asks, maybe a different David, will the upfront costs paid by the customer be rebated out of the heating costs they subsequently pay you?
I did not understand the question.
I think he wants to know if they're installing ECATs and there is some upfront cost that they have to pay. They're asking whether you will reimburse them for that upfront cost.
Well, this depends on the specifics of a single contract. It depends on many issues, because we can put that cost. It depends also which are these upfront costs? Because if the situation is such that the upfront costs are substantial, the client has to confront them. If the situation must be agreed upon for any specific situation.
So it sounds like it's negotiable.
Yes, it is negotiable.
Okay, this is this is a question. Actually, I'm going to put it to Tom. It says, Frank, can you give the name of the bit of music played during the close-up of the dancing ballerina? Important for the sort of use I am up to. Tom, could you answer that question?
I am going to say that was a instrumental piece created for a charity bike ride that takes place in New Jersey every year. And it was composed by myself and my very, very talented musical collaborator, Mr. Joe Bezek.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully that will help you, Tim.
Ballerina refused to dance. I proposed, big.
Yes, I'm very specific.
But the ballerina refused.
Yeah.
When she heard the music of my friend
moved, yes.
Thomas, immediately she got dancing.
Okay, another question about the video. In the live video, the feed of the controller showing the value 20, what is the person doing regularly where someone is pressing some switch?
I can answer that question.
At which point the readout varies momentarily to say 17, 18.
So that number that you see in the controller, which is in the upper top areas, in the middle area, with the 20, that is an amperometer and a voltmeter. And when it is sitting there normally, as you see now, it is displaying the number of amps of the current that is going in. I'm going to read my little script here. When the operator goes and changes it, he is switching the meter to register volts. And at that point, you can read that it is 19 volts that it is going. So basically, the operator is switching from the meter from measuring amps to volts.
Yes, I can add that the operator was me, and I just pushing a button. By default, I read the amps. Pushing the button, I get the volts. I pushed it just to the benefit of the camera, so that we could show it. But normally nobody goes there. That instrument is not even out of the box; is inside. So basically, nobody goes to push anything because it is an operation that is completely useless because is the control system that erogates, that regulates volts and amps. I just so the poor guy that now and again was there pushing was just making this operation only
There he goes again.
Stage purpose.
Okay, another question from Brokeeper. If more ECATs are required to be added to one control system, will the COP increase proportionately?
No.
Okay. Christopher asks, what industry do you think will immediately benefit the most from this marvelous new technology?
I think that I can say that where I think that there is a most high necessity to lower the cost of heat is agriculture and paper mills. It's difficult to answer. I am not a merceologist, but for my experience, for what I can see, the most of requests we have now come from agriculture or food industry, food industry, agriculture that is very bound to food industry, by the way, is almost the same thing. We have a strong request from paper mills, and I expect electricity production, because they get with this temperature, is very convenient to make a Carnot cycle.
He follows up, how can I get in touch with your marketing team?
He can send an email to info@leonardocorp1996.com, explain exactly what he needs, and he will be addressed to the right person.
Question, when the electricity producing device will be ready? When will the electricity producing device be ready?
Ask to the electricity providers.
If Rossi has a person in Sweden who can sell a solution, how does he expect high volume of sales?
I did not understand this.
I guess if you have a person in Sweden who can sell or is helping sell the Ecat, do you expect high volume of sales? If one person could sell one installation per day, that would indicate only 220 sales in Europe for the first year.
Thank you for the insight.
Okay, to follow up my question about use in a university lab, the university would agree not to open the device, same as any other commercial customer. Nothing confidential would be disclosed. So wouldn't it be good publicity for a university to report the input and output so long as they pay for the heat? What would you have to lose?
Is that a Boy Scout promise?
Well, they would have to sign something.
Okay.
So I guess the serious question is: would you consider such a proposal if a university said that we would pay for the heat, and would agree to assign things to agree to not do anything that you wouldn't want to do with the machine? Would that be something you would consider?
You know, this is a very complex issue, and it is not easy answer yes or no. The question appears to be simple. As a matter of fact, behind that question there is a universe. So a universe of problematics, difficulties, incompatibility between prior art knowledge and eventual art knowledge, distinctions between the first and the second. You know, the only person that surely will earn a lot of money in these discussions are the attorneys. And sincerely, in this moment, I have not time to lose with this. Maybe in future. Now, I have no time for this.
All right. This is more of a personal question. I don't know if you want to deal with it. Robert asks, Dear Andrea, would you care to share your faith and its influence on your life and work?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. You know, anybody that has written on www.ingandrearossi.com what happened to me in the years knows that what I passed through would probably not be survived should I not have a very deep and strong base in my faith.
Thank you. Dear Andrea, Do you have, this is from Uwe, do you have existing contracts with major suppliers such as National Instruments or Siemens who can ensure the supply chain for the productions of your production in case of large orders?
We have contracts with important concerns. We are under NDA, and I am not going to give their names because I am under NDA.
But you have suppliers who will provide you with the materials you need for whatever volume is demanded of you?
Yes.
You say you already have a business strategy and partners for Europe, Germany, partners in Sweden. Could you provide contact information?
As I said before, write to info@leonardocorp1996.com. Explain exactly who you are, which is your consume of heat, which is your activity, etc., etc. And I will address you to the right person.
Tiziano says, our company is a large publicly listed company dealing with heat and power. We are interested to license Ecat technology mostly for our clients active in agribusiness. How much could it cost per MWT of installed power, megawatts thermal of installed power?
Of course, this is not a question to put in this context. Again, you can read my email address and send and explain due information, and we will follow up with your request.
Previously, Rossi would not deal with any military use. Now, if Leonardo controls the unit, it would sell energy. Would it sell the energy to a military base for heating or hot water uses, etc.?
No comment.
Someone asks, could you zoom out the plasma camera just a little bit?
Let me see what I can do here. This is the shot that we got for the plasma camera, and so that's as far as we got.
Okay, just keep it up there for a little bit, maybe. Question for Rossi. Can you give a hypothetical example of savings to demonstrate for potential customers?
Is in the COP.
So,
you know, the COP gives us a big margin. Now, how much of this margin we can share with the customer depends on the specifics of the contract. So this is something we will deal about with customers.
so that's actually something that's negotiable between you and the customer?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I guess I'm saying
It is not negotiable, not based upon caprice.
okay.
Or, you know, this is more simpatico, and this is less simpatico. It will be based on rigorous parameters that are amount of heat that, of course, if somebody buys thousands of megawatts, has a price different from somebody that buys 1 megawatt of power. Obviously, and then there are other parameters that have influence. So when I say that is negotiable, it is negotiable on the base of rigorous parameters, not based on what did I eat the day before.
Okay, a couple of questions have come in about your health. It says, particularly about your voice. Do you anticipate to regain your full vocal ability?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. The doctors say that I should recover it, at least in good part, and I hope so. I am making logopedy for this, and
What was that word?
logopedy.
What does that mean?
Forget it.
Okay. What would happen? Oh, sorry. In the event of Andrea Rossi being incapacitated, who would carry on the business until you returned?
Good people.
Okay. Sorry, I have to reload here. Sorry. I just hit the wrong button here.
No problem.
The questions keep coming. Well, let me go back to my... Okay. Dear Andrea, does the available certification for industrial application allow to apply the device in sports facilities such as gyms or pools?
I don't know, but I return to what I said before. This question has to be put to a certified engineer, certified in the location where the plant should be installed, and ask him. And we are ready to give him to the certified engineer of the Engineers Association. We are ready to give the information necessary to give answers, but that's all we can do.
Okay, question regarding the video, going back to the video. How has the electrical input power to the reactor, 800, whatever that is, been measured?
By a voltmeter, amperometer.
How have you determined that the temperature is the surface of the plasma column and not some reflection from the reactor body or transmission from inside the volume of the plasma?
Because we have with the spectrometry, we have set the spectrometer in a way that it goes right to the core of the plasma, where it has the maximum intensity, and the intensity of the plasma gives the answer to this question.
How have you determined the entire plasma column surface is the same temperature as per your calculation?
With filters.
What procedure did you use to scan for any temperature variance along the length and across the breadth of the plasma column?
The spectrometer makes that.
What is the spatial resolution of your spectrometer?
It is 0 point something nanometers.
Okay. Can you give the make and model? The make and model of the spectrometer you used?
Yes, I can supply it. If they send by mail the usual,
Okay.
I can give the spectrometer.
And when was it last calibrated, and how?
We calibrate it continuously with a specialist, with an engineer, who is a specialist in spectrometry, which makes only spectrometry as a profession.
Have you used a calorimeter to measure the heat output?
No, we did not.
Okay, I think some of these questions have been answered. What is the power rating of the power rating of this?
The power rating of this, as you have seen in the calculations, is exactly 21.9
Okay.
kilowatts.
Will this be the standard rating for the mass production of the SK?
Yes.
And the question...
I said during the presentation, I said 20 to make it easier to calculate, but exactly it is 21.9.
And what is the COP?
The COP is the one that has been described in
Was
the
57?
in the so the COP, if we consider all of the energy that exits from the plug is 50, 57, 58 something, I don't remember exactly, 57. The COP of the sole Ecat is the COP of a self-sustaining mode.
Could you define self-sustaining mode?
Is when the consume is irrelevant respect to the energy that is generated.
Okay.
And I think that the region of that success, because that is a success, stays in that signature that you have seen when I asked to enlarge a particular of the spectrometry.
Okay, Gary asks, utilities have complex formulas for billing customers. Can you react to rate changes that hide the cost per BTU? For example, utilities switching to an annual service model that does not include the incremental cost of BTUs.
Actually, we make contracts renewable every year, and for that year the cost is fixed. If substantial variation could happen during the year to the advantage of the customer, that could be put in discussion, but this will depend on specific situations.
Okay. Last year, Layman asks, last year there was talk about establishing a factory in Sweden. What is the situation now?
I cannot answer this question.
All right. Can an SK heated gas turbine be engineered to survive heater temperatures of greater than about 1000 Celsius?
Yes.
The radiation from the SK has to be transferred to the coolant, which is compressed air, possibly steam. Rossi stated, the gas turbine configuration resolves the thermal problem. This was a quote from
Yes,
you.
I agree. This is why we are working on gas turbines. This is, as I said, this is my pet project. When we are making a very good job, I repeat, in Japan now. On course of developing and to substitute the Ecat to the gas.
Is it working now well enough to continuously make electricity?
No.
Not yet.
We are in a very early stage.
Okay. Let me see. Go back to my list here. Okay.
I must say that the director of the Japanese company we are in contact with is very genial. So I think I have found the very good partner, because he is a genius in the turbine field, and we are pretty good for what concerns the Ecat, and so it's very promising, the situation.
Have you visited Japan?
Japan is a wonderful country.
Okay, your recent paper describes how external magnetic fields may be important in the production of electron clusters.
Could you repeat that? We lost your...
Lost me?
Yeah, sounds. Just say that one more time.
Okay, your recent paper, published in ResearchGate, describes how external magnetic fields may be important in the production of electron clusters. Do you expose the plasma to an external magnetic field?
I cannot answer this question.
Did I turn my mic off?
No, just got moved
What is the pressure in the reactor?
I cannot answer this question.
Can you describe the cooling system of the power supply?
No.
Can you describe the importance of resonance when it comes to the oscillations generated?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Can you describe the importance of resonance when it comes to the oscillations generated by the double layer in the...
Resonances in this technology are everything.
By what means is energy transferred from the plasma through the material of the discharge tube to the heat exchanger?
I cannot answer this question.
What is the role of noble gases in the fuel mixture?
Cooling.
Okay. Trying to get through.
And it is not in the fuel mixtures.
Okay. All right.
I will say that the most important thing we will tell you today is this. The Ecat SK is available now for industrial applications. If your business requires safe, reliable, and competitively priced heat, we encourage you to contact us at this
Okay.
address.
All right, fine. We may run out of questions. All right. Are there any malintentioned forces that you and Leonardo Corporation face from governments or otherwise who may stand to lose from the deployment of your technology?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay. Is the technology safeguarded against negative intentions of individuals or groups so that the Ecat is not lost?
I don't understand the meaning of this question.
I think
I
he's...
understood the words,
okay.
but I don't understand what he means.
I think he means is, have you safeguarded the technology so that the Ecat will never be lost to humanity?
Again, I don't understand.
I think they want to make
this
sure that
meaning,
it's
the
not
meaning.
all, that the Ecat's plans are not all in your head. That you've written it down
No,
somewhere.
no, I understand. So when I will be dead, if I die one moment or the other, it reminds me the title of the song of Loretta Lynch, Loretta Lynn, that says everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. But, well, I think that, yes, of course, all my intellectual property is objectively possessed beyond my person. So it will never get lost. And as far as I know, there is nobody around that wants to make it lost.
Do you have any kind of training of other persons who can continue your work?
Yes.
Okay. About the ballerina. When you switch on, does the ballerina dance immediately?
No. The ballerina has to warm up the legs. As every good ballerina.
You could pull a hamstring. You don't want to do that.
She makes some stretching.
For anybody listening, we do have a cutoff time of noon. So if you want to send questions, just keep them coming, but we will be...
Noon, New York time.
Right, noon Eastern time, which was approximately...
I say New York time because not anybody knows what does mean Easter time.
Okay.
Outside the United States.
So that's
it's better say New York time.
48 minutes from now.
All right. Tim says, thank you for your demo, Dr. Rossi. What... Oh, he says thank you. If you want to respond to that?
thank you and thank to everybody that had the patience to listen all this.
I think you've actually dealt with this question. What, if anything, is the issue or problem with using the Ecat to replace coal as a heat source for power plants?
Not at all, because this is a question I have already answered before. The problem is not technological. The problem is administrative, because to make that change, all the permissions, the permits, the authorization of the authorization of a power plant decay, and to have new permits it takes 10 to 20 years. This is what the CEO of a big company, of a big electricity provider told me in California. And so this is the problem. This is the problem. So it is not a problem for a new plant that has to be made. In that case, we can be integrated easy, because this will not be late, the permissions, the permits, absolutely. Also because, 10 years, more or less, are not an issue in that situation. But it is a big problem for existing plants. Or this can be not a problem for the coal plants that have to close because their permissions expire. In the case, yes.
Okay. Layman asks, will the professors in Uppsala University endorse your new product officially?
No professor is going to endorse anything. Professors of university are professors, not salesmen.
I don't.
Would we want to talk about this? Take this moment to mention what does the SK stand for in the Ecat SK?
SK are the initials of the name of Sven Kullander. Sven Kullander was, because unfortunately is dead, at the end. Yes, you can see the plate that we put on all our Ecat SK, and with big gratitude for Professor Sven Kullander, because I learned from him basic things that have given that have spurred the development of the Ecat. I knew him in 2011. He came in Bologna to test with me the Ecat, one of the first prototypes of the Ecat, in 2012. I have been in Uppsala with him and Professor Pettersson and Professor Bohoistad and Professor Tegner many times in Uppsala, and we have worked very much and together, and I have infinite gratitude towards Sven Kullander. And unfortunately, he has died without any. It was not expected. It has been all in the sudden, and I wanted to dedicate to him this product.
Question about early licensees. Several licenses were bought back by Leonardo Corporation, but many still exist and were not bought back. How will you work with these licensees?
This is a matter of Leonardo Corporation that has nothing to do with this context.
Next question from Raymond. Is the power output adjustable or is it constant?
No, it is. Well, it is adjustable. It is adjustable with the square waves, which means it is adjustable with working with a timer that turns on and off they get.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions just of my own, and I think I started asking you this the other day, and you said let's talk about it. As far as history goes, when did you first start working with this technology?
I started in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I started in 1996, and this is why you can see in my email address info@leonardocorp1996.com, because 1996 has been the date I started the work with this, with a microscopic thing, inspired by the work of Pons and Fleischmann.
And now, was that the first ECAT?
No. The ECAT, that is energy catalyzer, has been born in 2000, 2005, 2006 initially. In 1996, I started my work with LNR as a side work, because in that period I was specialized. I had also an American patent, a patent granted from the United States Patent Office to turn waste, organic wastes, into fuel. And from in that period up to 2007, I continued, 2008 also, I continued to work to make plants that made electricity and fuel, starting from the so-called second materie prime seconde, second raw materials, and I was pretty good at that. And but in the 2008, my research in the LNR had developed very much, or 2007, I don't remember exactly. And so was why the story is this. I had just bought the last appendix of the Encyclopedia Treccani. I am an avid reader of the Encyclopedia Treccani, which is the Britannica of Italy. In Great Britain they have the Encyclopedia Britannica. In Italy we have the Treccani, which is better than the Britannica, by the way, and more beautiful, more complete, etc. And I had just bought the last appendix of the Treccani, and the first thing I made, I have gone to see cold fusion, because I was just curious to see if the
You mean you looked it up? You looked up? You opened it up and looked?
Yes, I opened the encyclopedia, the volume of the appendix. I have gone to cold fusion, and there was an article, about a beautiful article, well done, made by Professor Bertin in Italian, Bertin in Americanized.
B-E-R-T-I-N.
No, B as in Bob, E as in Eve, R as in Rome, T as in Ted, I as in India, N as in Nancy. Bertin
Okay.
is in Italian. And it was signed Professor Bertin, University of Bologna. So I make a phone call to the University of Bologna and asked of Professor Bertin, and they passed me to Professor Bertin, and he told me, yes, but I asked him if he wanted to be my consultant, and he said no, because I am no more dealing with this matter. But here in the University of Bologna we have Professor Focardi, Sergio Focardi, that is our point of reference for this matter. So I can put you in contact with Professor Focardi. And this is the way through which I knew Professor Focardi. And I called him and I told him, Professor, I am a guy. Yes, this is the photo of Professor Sergio Focardi, my friend. Unfortunately, he too passed away in 2013. And Sergio Focardi, I told to him, Professor, I am a guy that has a good work, well paid. I have a good industry that makes plants to make fuel or electricity or electricity with my technology. But as a side of it, I am working with LNR, and I have developed a thing that is no more possible to treat as a side work. I have to decide if to sell out all my activity in the fuel from waste field and dedicate myself 100% to the LNR, or abandon the LNR. They are eating too much time to me. And so, please, I need your consulting, because you have to tell me if what I am thinking about has a future or if it is bullshit. Because if it is not good, I abandon it and I lose no more time. And go ahead with my work that pays me and my family very well. Otherwise, I sell my actual activity and put me 100% in the LNR. And he laughed a little bit and said, okay, let us meet. So I met him, not in the university, because in that time he was in vacation. It was August. And he was in vacation in the beach of the Adriatic near Ferrara, where he had his house. And I met him in his house. And he looked at my documents, my papers, and said, okay, Rossi, let me study what you got. I will call you when I will be ready, and I will tell you my impressions. After a week, he called me and said, Rossi, I have bad news for you. And I answered, yeah, I know it was bullshit. Just tell me what you think. And he said, no, the bad news is that it is not bullshit. It is good. So if you want, I am also disposed to work with you with this. And this, so I sold out all the activity I had to get the money to go ahead with the land, and I began my story with Focardi, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Let's see. Another question here. You have previously stated, in mercatu veritas, in the market is the truth. Now that you are in the market, how long do you expect it will take before the truth of your invention is acknowledged by the media and scientific establishment?
I don't know.
Today.
No, today.
Today.
Today will be not a news for my clients, for the people that has access to my plans, but not for other people. From today, we are ready to deliver our heat. What time it will take before this certainty become common knowledge, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe, I don't know.
It doesn't really matter. There are plenty of people walking around today who don't believe in electricity, but they go to their little light switch and they hit the little light button and they use electricity, but they don't believe in it. They don't believe that works that way. So
This is correct.
yeah.
Are you concerned that your intellectual property might be compromised once an Ecat SK is installed at a customer's factory, or are you confident in your protections against reverse engineering?
I am very confident.
Given your long and
So far, I am very confident so far. And this is one of another parameter based on which we will choose our clients. Because we will choose the clients that, from our point of view, are reliable under this point of view also. But I am confident of our remote control system, and I am confident of the self-defense system that we have inside the Ecat. But of course I will not be confident when we'll sell the plants, because at that point reverse engineering will be very difficult to be obstacled. This is why it will take some time before we will sell our plants.
So you do envision a day that the plants will be sold as opposed to selling the heat?
No, I am not envisaging this time now.
Okay. The last question from
By the way, is my voice still good?
still
Can
good.
Can you hear me?
Like Tony Bennett.
In this case, I go on. Okay.
Given your long and hard journey to get to this point, including a difficult court battle, do you feel satisfied with your achievement now that you have a commercial product?
I am not going to talk of something that for me is archaeology.
To clarify the question about safeguarding technology, it's a long one. Oh. Given the importance of your technology to the advancement of our species, have you considered a dead man's switch to broadcast the designs of your technology to the world for free via the internet in the event of a worst case scenario should something happen to your company?
You know, my company is a company. Persons die, companies don't. The patrimony of a company, one way or the other, is if necessary, is transmitted to other companies. And for example, we have on course dealing about licenses. We are selling our even manufacturing license in some geographic parts of the world. I sincerely, I don't think that this hypothesis has any possibility to become real.
Someone did ask previously, as far as the United States goes, in which states can you do business? In which states within the United States?
Wherever.
Okay.
Also in Alaska. In Alaska, I think they need heat. I am not sure, but I think.
In late December 2018, a bill titled Nuclear Energy Innovation and Modernization Act was passed by both U.S. houses of the U.S. Congress and sent to the President for his signature. One major purpose of the bill is to encourage innovation in the nuclear energy technology. Are you aware of this bill and whether it could make it easier for LENR to be developed in the United States?
You know, this is a generalistic question. I am a particular man. I respond for my work. I have learned in my experience, in the experience of my life, that it is better not to count on bills or public funds or public funding or something like that. They can come. They will be, some added value, but we cannot count on them. Anything that is politically conditionable is not reliable.
Will you keep us posted as to the number of installations you have made on a yearly basis, not who the customers are, but how many have been installed?
Can you kindly repeat the question?
Sorry. Will you inform us of the number of installations you have made on a yearly basis, even if you do not tell us who the customers are?
Yes.
And so far it is how many?
A lot, one.
Okay. Yeah, have Ecat SK...
That people will believe. When I will say other numbers, they will say, nah.
Question is, so you say there's one. You've had it operating for how long?
I would say 1 year.
Okay. Is it being remotely controlled yet?
No. We are going to control it remotely. We are going to.
Okay. how long? Okay, as far as how long will it take for Leonardo to install the base unit to the time of the completed contract?
It depends on the type of contract, and it depends on the kind of plant.
When I asked you earlier about if someone contacted you today, whether it was feasible to think that it could be installed within a quarter, you said, "Oh, before then." So
Yes.
I think that addresses that issue.
Yes, it depends on the power. It depends on the situation. It depends on many factors.
Is there any remote, this is from Raymond, is there any remote possibility that a private person can have an ECAT installed in his average home for, let's say, in 1 year or so?
I am not able to answer this question because this depends on the certifications. We surely are not going to deliver anything against the law.
Is it possible in the future that an antagonistic larger company or group could buy all your patents and then shelve your technology, as have happened with other advanced energy technologies, especially if you were somehow no longer in control of the company yourself?
You know, is it possible that some extraterrestrials come down and I don't know. You know, I can make, I can see, I can try to understand what will happen in future based on precise information I can have. So I cannot just make to foresee which number will come out from the bingo.
This is more. The president has promised to cut through red tape to help new technology. And certainly one of the biggest global agendas we hear about is reducing greenhouse gases. What is the disconnect here with validation of input and output from even one client? Wouldn't all doors be quickly opened for you, and billions of people could benefit within a year or two?
Sorry, I did not understand this question.
I think what they're saying is...
rephrase me with few simple words.
Okay. If even one client verified input, output, wouldn't that open the door quickly for you? And the whole world could benefit?
This is not true. This is not true. And the situation is much more complex. I already have answered to this question.
I got another question of my own. LENR.
Yes.
Is this an accurate description of your technology? LENR,
yes.
Low energy nuclear reactors.
I think that among all the definitions that have been proposed so far, I think that LENR is the proper definition.
Now, the word nuclear is in there.
Yes, the word nuclear is in there, but it is necessary because otherwise everybody tells you that you go against the first principle of thermodynamics.
So, how safe?
Because, you know, the problem is that chemical energy, it is not. If it is not chemical, it is nuclear. But nuclear is a universe. So when you say nucleus, you talk of a universe. So nuclear does not mean that it is plutonium or something like that. Nuclear can also be as I have written in my paper, I cited before, that has been, well, I strongly suggest to go to read that paper of mine where I have put a lot of information to the limit of the confidentiality, where I have put theoretical knowledge, where there are described, because I have understood the hypertext of your question, there are described things that can happen and that are not chemical between electrons and protons that do not produce high strong force radiations.
Okay. How safe?
And it's very important. It's very important that enlargement that I asked for. And go to the paragraph 3 and 4 of my paper, where you understand well why that is very important, because that is the kick that starts the effect.
Okay. You wrote reasonably recently, that in, I think it was, I don't know what year it was, I can't remember, but you put yourself in danger.
No, I am not going to talk about this.
Okay. I think we've got another question here.
You know, when I work, I make things that put me in danger, but this has nothing to do with this presentation.
How safe is the Ecat?
As I said, we have never emitted from the Ecat any kind of ionizing radiations. As it has been well shown in the video, the Ecats are supplied with neutron columns and with the microsievert counter that have never indicated any emission of radiation beyond the background. And this is why we obtained our safety certifications.
Okay, I'm just looking to see if there's any more. I'm going to scan my questions. Oh, this goes back a long time. Back in, I don't know, early in the days of the Journal of Nuclear Physics, there were people who placed orders for the home unit Ecat you have received. You promised to keep the waiting list in order. So this person is asking, what position do I have on the waiting list?
Okay. Obviously, I can only say I do not know. He has the same positions that he had before. I can guarantee, as well as I can guarantee that we have conserved perfectly all these addresses, and when the home Ecat will enter in the market, the absolute precedenza, the absolute this order of delivery will be absolutely respected.
What do you feel would be the fastest way to deploy your technology to the world?
Install plants.
Keep looking to see if there's anything new coming in. Oh. How can the LENR community help promote this technology? And this is a follow-up from Thomas earlier. I missed this one. What can professional engineering societies do to help spread the knowledge of this new technology?
Well, you have my email address. Let's talk about that. You know, it is not easy. This question is serious, must be taken seriously. To be taken seriously cannot be answered now with in the 20, 30 seconds of an answer.
I can tell you this question comes from Thomas Kaminsky. He had organized a meeting of the IEEE in Madison, Wisconsin.
Very good. I thank you him very much, and I am honored that you and your association, IEEE, that I well know. And by the way, they have published an important paper recently on this matter, and that I I appreciate it very much. And so to make something serious, we must to take seriously. You know my email address, and I will be delighted to be contacted by you or by anybody of this community that wants sincerely and with malicious intent work in collaboration with us.
Dear Andrea, Leonardo Corporation is oriented on generating profit. Do you think that there is some defined amount of money you would accept for disabling the future sale of your inventions and shelving it indefinitely?
Well, this is a question to whom I already have answered. This does not depend on me. I am selling licenses. I will sell licenses. We will. If the problem is that intellectual property is a patrimony, if you divide a company, even a licensee of an intellectual property, his investments are worth zero. They can sue us and ask titanic damages, because they can ask damages for lost profits for the future. They can they can destroy us and the history of science and technology and the history of mankind in the industrial era, so starting from the end of the 18th century up to now, is that the intellectual property is at the base of every development in technology and in science to the service of mankind.
You had mentioned that if a new power plant were to begin with using using Ecat technology, it would be feasible. With a COP of 57, wouldn't the company using your technology be wildly successful compared to even the cheapest energy competitors?
Well, I think that I want not that we become the first of the class, because the first of the class is what I am saying. What I always said is that our technology is for sure a technology that can be integrated in the global energy system. Surely, to make steam with Ecat is convenient.
Would you allow a group of supporters, lay people such as myself, to purchase heat from an SK and use it for a purpose to heat a non-profit building, commercial building, and allow the public to view the unit in action, sort of a way to promote the technology?
Well, I have always answered to these questions. No, not always. Already, sorry. I correct myself. I have already answered to that issue.
Well, I think we are getting close to running out of questions.
Very good.
All right.
Oh, by the way, if anybody wants, do you want to explain what can do anybody that wants to put more questions even after?
Yeah, I will be here after the presentation is over. If there are more questions, you can please continue to send them to my email, which I ecatworld@gmail.com. And if there are questions that have not already been addressed, then I can ask them and then publish the answers. So, are there any closing remarks you'd like to make, Andrea?
Yes, I want to thank everybody that had the patience to look partially or completely this presentation, and now we have all to get back to work. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. The Ecat is available now for industrial applications. If your business requires safe, reliable, competitively priced heat, we encourage you to contact us. And that's the address to contact us right now. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and we're going to take a break now.
If there was power that made the world wiser, it would generate in everyone's mind. We're all talkers, we're doers, survivors. We're all singers that won't be defined. But there's a song with a brand new stanza, like the strangest electronic ballet. And when we see the ballerina plasma of the dancing Ecat SK, I believe in the Ecat, and we're all about to see what it does. It's received and installed, and we see that there's an Ecat industrial buzz. For I believe in the Ecat, and my energy's changing because our heat is carbon free, and soon we'll see that heat will never be the same as it was. Now you might know what you might know, and you might think what you might think, but you just might feel some small sense of surprise if I read about it here and I dismissed it over there, but now I see it working right before my eyes. But I believe in the Ecat and all the carbon will save, and I'm happy to see the day that there's an Ecat industrial wave. For I believe in the Ecat. Let's consider making an energy trade. And I won't mind the hype, because the future's so bright that we will all just have to wear shades. When we do the things we do, we be the best that we can be. Who we are is something greater than we say. There's a box of inspiration that creates a box of heat, and it's ready to be installed again today. But I believe in the Ecat, and it was all well worth the wait. We could argue all day if we like that, but there's really nothing left to debate. So it might surprise us too if we see something new, and we did not expect to hear it when we say that we all belong, and we can sing one new song, and we can install an Ecat SK. We all belong, and we can sing one new song, and we can install an Ecat SK.